Hey guys, how you going? I hope you're all doing really well and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I thought we would discuss the kind of 30-day shreds or the 30-day challenges that you see on YouTube or you see going around the internet. And we're going to talk about the good, the bad, what they really do, and most importantly, do they work? So I'm not going to be talking about anything in particular, but it only takes one quick Google search or YouTube search to come up with tons of these challenges or shreds, promising some pretty awesome results in quite a short period of time. And I totally get why these things are really attractive. I remember previous to me losing weight, I would have looked at these and thought, perfect, I don't really know what I'm doing, so this is gonna tell me what to do. It's just 30 days, it's gonna be quick, and I'm gonna get some awesome results according to what they are offering or the picture that they're showing. But there's always that thing in the back of your mind that says, this is a little bit too good to be true, and we all know that nothing good really comes easy, so what's the catch? So that's what we're going to explore today. We're just going to talk about some of the things that potentially you should be a little bit more aware of from taking on these programs, but also some of the huge benefits that come with them and whether they really work. So let's chat about what these programs are. Obviously, there is tons of choice out there. You've got your 30 days to calisthenics style ones, you've got 30 days to have shredded abs, wouldn't that be awesome? 30 days to lose 20 pounds, etc. The list goes on, there's so many different choices. But today we're gonna focus on the ones that are really aimed at beginners and aimed at fat loss and getting what I guess would be termed tone, so basically muscle definition. Think like your 30-day abs, 30 days to a ripped body kind of style. So these programs and challenges are often made up of relatively short duration workouts, but ones that you'll repeat daily, so they're back to back and you have very little rest in between. The actual workouts are also usually consisting of cardio exercise mixed with some body weight or resistance training. So usually they're super accessible, able to be done at home with very minimal equipment, which is why I guess they appeal to the mass market, along with the fact that they're very short in duration, so 30 days or 60 days. In terms of the outcomes that they suggest you can get, it's usually going to be either fat loss or increasing visible muscle definition. So we're talking about muscle hypertrophy or muscle growth and fat loss over the period of the challenge. So those are the two factors that we're gonna focus on first. We're gonna first talk about promoting fat loss and second about increasing visible muscle definition. Okay, so fat loss. We have been here so many times and the number one key factor for fat loss is being in a calorie deficit. Now to do this, you need to be consuming less calories per day than your body is actually burning. And the easiest and best way to do this is through your nutrition. It is going to be a lot easier to reduce how many calories you're eating per day rather than trying to increase your physical activity and out-train a bad diet. And when I say bad diet, I'm not talking about necessarily the foods that you're eating, it's more the volume that you're eating. So if you're eating more calories than your body actually requires, then obviously you're going to gain fat. And that's what I mean by a bad diet in this sense. Obviously, if you're eating in a caloric deficit and you're increasing your physical activity at the same time, then your deficit is actually going to become larger because not only are you eating less food than your body requires, but you're also burning calories through exercise, which is going to add to that deficit. So I guess a good question is, knowing that a calorie deficit is going to be the key component to fat loss, then how do these programs and challenges that promote fat loss but don't have a nutritional aspect to it actually help people to lose weight? Now there's a couple of reasons for this, so we'll just run over a few, but obviously for a lot of people that will be taking on these challenges, they're coming from very little to no exercise to then exercising every single day or 6 days a week, and usually at a relatively high intensity as well. So they're going to be increasing their physical activity and their energy output significantly from what they were doing before. So in that scenario, obviously a big increase in physical activity is going to burn significantly more calories than you had previously. And if you continue to eat exactly how you'd eaten before you took on the challenge or the program, then you will find in the short term that you probably will lose a little bit of weight because your body is undergoing something new, a new stimulus. But it's not something that will necessarily last for a long time. At some point, the body will adjust and you'll have to reduce your calories through nutrition. Additionally, when we start to exercise, we naturally don't really want to undo our bad work. So we tend to eat a little bit less naturally, or we opt for healthier options in terms of less calorie dense foods. This can often be quite a subconscious thing, so we don't realize we're doing it, but obviously that's also contributing to being in a calorie deficit, and in the short term, you'll start to see weight loss. So one last thing, and I think it's really important in regards to fat loss and weight loss on a short-term program, and it's something that we've probably all experienced as well, is that when you start an exercise routine, you notice in the first 1 or 2 weeks often that you'll lose a relatively good amount of weight on the scales, and that might be followed by a period of a plateau or actually increasing the weight on the scales. Now, the reason for this is because it probably is water weight, and you've probably heard this thrown around loads of times, like you're losing water weight or it's just water retention, etc, etc. So I'm going to try and really briefly and simply explain to you why that occurs. So very briefly, when we put ourselves in a calorie deficit, our body still needs to find the energy to get through the day. So it needs to take that energy from somewhere else, which is why over time in a sustainable calorie deficit, we lose fat. However, fat is only one of the methods of getting energy from our body, and actually the easiest and most accessible way is to take it from our carbohydrate storage, which is why some people eat carbs before they train. Carbohydrates can be very quickly turned into blood sugar and used for energy. Therefore, it's our body's preferred method if it's there for the taking. Now, when we have carbohydrates in our body, they are stored with water. So as it's used, the water is taken away as well, and so we start to lose that water weight. And that also leads to the appearance of losing weight physically. So of course, losing water from the body is going to lead to the appearance of fat loss when it might just be water weight. And just going back to the subconscious changes that we start to make when we train, we often notice that as people start to exercise for the first time or for the first time in a while, they will reduce the amount of carbohydrates they're actually consuming naturally. And that means obviously they're going to be taking on less carbohydrates, storing less water, which is going to contribute to the appearance of fat loss. So I just want to make a really quick note about the difference between weight loss and fat loss. So fat loss is obviously the loss of fat from your body, and that happens through being in a calorie deficit, which is sustainable for a consistent long period of time. Now, weight loss is talking about the weight on the scale, for example. So literally the weight of everything in your body. And that is contributed to by so many different factors. You've got water weight, you've got fat, you've got muscle mass, you've got bone density, the list goes on. So that's going to be changing, fluctuating every single day, going up and down. And just because you see an increase on the scales in your weight, it doesn't mean that you've increased fat, and vice versa. If the weight on the scales drop, it doesn't necessarily mean you've lost fat, but it could do. Okay, so we've covered fat loss on these programs and why people see results and what's actually happening. Let's quickly talk about increase in muscle definition. So I'm going to use the example of a 30-day ab shred. So 30 days to get visible abs. Is it possible? Well, first of all, we need to actually understand what needs to occur for us to see visible abs. So with visible abs, you obviously need to have muscle definition, which means you do need to do ab exercises or core exercises to strengthen and hypertrophy, which means grow those muscles. However, that alone is not going to give you visible abs unless your body fat percentage is low enough to see them. You could have the best six-pack ever in terms of muscle, but if you've got even a normal body fat percentage, it's very unlikely that you're going to see a huge amount of that definition. In fact, for women, you actually have to have quite a low body fat percentage, well below the average body fat percentage for women in the healthy range. So for a healthy body fat percentage for women, we want to be between 21% and about 31% body fat. If you start to go below that, then you'll start to see definition. But really, you need to be getting to like 17% and lower body fat before you're starting to see significant definition in your abs. So that's not going to happen in 30 days. That takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication and consistency for seriously long periods of time to get to that level. As well as having a low body fat percentage, which takes a lot longer than 30 days, we also are unable to spot reduce fat, which means we can't choose where on our body our fat comes from. But if a program is telling you after 30 days you're going to have shredded visible abs and you're coming from a normal body fat percentage or a high body fat percentage, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to lose enough fat in that area. What you need to instead focus on is reducing your calories, so you're in a calorie deficit, sustaining that for a longer period of time and reducing your overall body fat, which over time will lead to visible ab definition and muscle definition throughout your body as well, if that was your goal. We will go into a little bit more detail about this, but this is not saying that these programs are bad. It's just important to be aware that these aren't necessarily going to be 30-day quick fixes and that you're going to have visible abs by the end of it or lose 20 pounds automatically and keep it off. And primarily, it's more important to understand how your body functions, how weight loss works, how fat loss works, how muscle mass works as well. So you can take that with any type of training that you do, whether it's a 30-day challenge or a long-term training program. So while a 30-day shred might not give you the cheese grater abs that it promises, there is definitely huge benefits to doing core exercises or bodyweight exercises. And again, we'll go into it in a little bit more detail, but core exercises in particular, just because we were using that example, are super important. It's really, really beneficial to have a strong core. And when we talk about core, we're talking about the front, the sides, and the back. It's not just the front here. We want to be balanced throughout the whole body, and it's really, really important to have that strong core, as it gives you a good foundation for your body. It supports you, it reduces the risk of injury. There's so many benefits. We're going to go into a little bit more detail. So these programs are beneficial. It's just being wary of the outcome and the reason that you're doing them. So that being said, let's talk about some of the benefits of these kind of challenges and programs. Obviously, the first one is that it's going to get you moving, and it's going to give you daily exercise or near daily exercise. So your activity levels are going to go up significantly. And let me rattle off some of the huge benefits to moving your body more and increasing your physical activity. We've got improved balance and proprioception. We've got reduced risk of injury. We've got reduced risk of age-related illnesses like sarcopenia and osteoporosis. It can enhance your mood over time. It can increase your metabolism, and also it improves cardiovascular health as well. And that's just some of the benefits of moving your body. So these programs are promoting some really, really good things. And if it's something that's going to get you going and get you motivated to start moving your body, that is never ever going to be a bad thing. Some other benefits of programs and challenges like this is it means you can try out different styles of training and find something that you can enjoy. Do you like yoga? Do you like calisthenics? Do you like weight training? Do you like body weight training? Do you like HIIT? Do you like walking? There's so many different options, and there's just so much choice out there to find something that you enjoy. Also, like we mentioned at the beginning, they're extremely accessible for so many people. They're often free, require very little equipment, and they're going to start building healthy habits in lifestyles. You also will see results. You know, within 30 days, you can build a significant amount of muscle if you are beginning training for the first time. You can definitely see improved form with exercises. You'll notice that your fitness will improve as well. So there is actually physical benefits to doing these programs. And in terms of health and exercise, they do work. It's just about being realistic with the expectations and knowing that after 30 days, you're probably not going to come out with shredded abs, a ripped body, or being able to do backflips, something like that. So with that, let's just run over some of the cons or maybe some of the negatives with these programs. The first one, and I think probably the most important one, is that it just breeds into the quick fix mentality that everything should be quick and easy. And unfortunately, weight loss and fitness tends to not be quick and easy. It's uncomfortable and it's hard work and it takes a long time, which is why a lot of people find that it's very, very hard to do. Because of the lack of nutritional information or concepts about nutrition and being in a calorie deficit, the weight loss that people tend to see on these programs doesn't seem to be sustainable for most people. And they tend to regain the weight relatively quickly afterwards. Again, that just feeds into the short-term versus long-term mindset. Short-term going hard at it being unsustainable, and long-term making small sustainable habit changes that will lead to your goals in the end. If your goal is to lose fat and to gain muscle, it's going to be far more beneficial just to make small, sustainable habit changes within your lifestyle, which are going to lead to longer term success, rather than just focusing on a short-term mindset. That being said, you're also really likely to see improvements in your fitness, your strength, your balance, proprioception, coordination, etc., which is always going to be a fantastic thing. They do, however, tend to help breed the short-term mentality in terms of health and fitness, and it's important to see them as a tool among many others to achieve lifelong health and to work towards your goal. So if your long-term goal is fat loss and general health and fitness, what's really going to benefit you is focusing on the longer-term mindset of having a sustainable, smaller calorie deficit that you can do for the long term, and slowly increasing your physical activity over time, while also increasing your NEAT, which is really important too, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your general activity throughout the day. All these things go hand in hand, and it's really about making small, sustainable habit changes that you don't really notice, but add up to a big effect in the long run. Alright guys, that's what I have for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something. I think these programs are a fantastic way of getting into health and fitness, but just don't be fooled into thinking that after 30 days you're going to have ripped abs, or you're going to have huge bulging biceps, or be able to run a marathon. If you have any questions, you can drop them down below in the comments. If you want to chat, you can head over to Instagram and message me over there. And if you're interested in any coaching, you can visit my website. All the links are in the down bar below. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.